Across the Caribbean is brought to you with the compliments of CIBC First Caribbean.
Antigua's Prime Minister Baldwin Spencer says his administration is looking to position Antigua and Barbuda as the regional leaders in building a digitally competitive society. Addressing the launch of the 7th ICT Fest 2011 last night, Mr. Spencer said the convergence and integration of communication networks and services and the growth of the internet, mobile applications and electronic commerce have resulted in the development of a master plan for the transformation of Antigua and Barbuda to a digitally driven and digitally competitive society. Grenada's opposition New National Party wants the government to inform the nation as to the true status of the chickenpox disease at the island's lone prison and how they intend to deal with that situation. NNP opposition member and parliamentary representative for the St. Mark's constituency, Dr. Clarice Modeste Curran, said that she's alarmed at the silence of the government on the matter. She said she first raised the issue soon after the rescheduling of the start of the October criminal assizes, after it was disclosed that at least 10% of the inmates had been affected by chickenpox. United Nations peacekeepers in Haiti have evacuated dozens of people from their homes and placed them in temporary shelters as floodwaters rise across the country's south after more than 4 days of torrential rain. According to a spokesman for the UN peacekeeping mission in Haiti, Blue Helmets, working with local officials, helped rescue 70 people, including 30 children, from towns near the southwestern city of Los Quis. Those rescued joined hundreds of others who have sought temporary shelter as rising waters engulfed or damaged their homes. In business tonight, with the International Monetary Fund set to launch its Regional Economic Outlook in Barbados tomorrow, the initiative is getting the thumbs up from Central Bank Governor Dr. Delisle Worrell. IMF official David Vigara will be in Bridgetown for the launch of the Outlook, and Dr. Worrell thinks it's a positive development.
I think it is good to be able to contrast Barbados's outlook and the way in which we have responded to the crisis with the region as a whole, because we are going to see there are some fundamental differences. There are countries within the region, we're talking about Latin America and the Caribbean, where they actually grow most of their own stuff. You have a country like Brazil, they produce practically anything, everything. So they're not as affected by the international economy as we are, because if they're not getting the demand from the United States, they can continue their production and sell to themselves.
Dr. Worrell says Barbados cannot boost its domestic demand to compensate because we import most of what we consume, noting that the market locally is much smaller than in those countries.
There are countries also which have resources. They have minerals, they have agricultural commodities and so on. And as you know, those things, the prices have increased tremendously. So those countries that are so endowed, they are doing quite well, but not through any superior policies, simply because they have a different endowment.
Barbados and other Caribbean countries must be able to compete on the global stage if they are to fulfill their developmental potential. That's the thinking behind Compete Caribbean, a US $40 million 5-year program designed to promote private sector development in CARIFORUM countries. The initiative was officially launched yesterday at the Wyndham Hotel in Jamaica. It is the largest donor-funded regional private sector development program in the Caribbean and is sponsored by the Inter-American Development Bank, the Canadian International Development Agency and the UK government's Department of International Development. The program is expected to produce several measurable benefits.
Compete Caribbean is expected to contribute to an increase in non-traditional exports from the average of 2.2% of GDP in recent years to 5% of GDP by the year 2017. It is also expected to help create 8,000 new jobs and make measurable advances in gender equality indicators in our countries. All 15 countries are expected to advance positions in the global rankings measuring competitiveness and business climate as well.
Jamaica's Prime Minister Bruce Golding delivered the feature address, calling the program timely. He noted its emphasis on assisting the region to penetrate foreign markets and pointed out that a country's ability to export now determines its place in the global arena.
We live in a world today where economic relations are determined not by our global ideological positioning, but are determined by what it is that we have to offer that the rest of the world needs, and what it is that we need that the rest of the world is able to supply. And that is what is deciding international relations. That is what is now occupying international diplomacy.
And President of the Caribbean Development Bank, Dr. Warren Smith, joined the launch via video link. He said Compete Caribbean holds the promise of helping the individual countries achieve sustainable growth as they make rapid strides towards long-term development. Dr. Smith added that he too believes this effort must be led by the private sector.
In today's globalized world, our ability to take advantage of new opportunities for growth through new initiatives like the Economic Partnership Agreement with the European Union will remain a mirage unless we lay the basis for a competitive private sector. The growth that will follow from this transformation will underpin our aspiration to uplift the standard and quality of life of our people in the Caribbean.
Now here's a summary of today's trading on some of the region's stock exchanges.